All right. So yesterday we were talking about tariffs. Yes. And when we finished off, I said, well, I told you like we're going to have to write about this on the test. So learning attention today, learn the economic principles behind tariffs. Okay. I can discuss the impact of tariffs in the 1920s and why they helped lead to the Depression. Okay. So you guys all have these notes. So I'm going to switch over here to the whiteboard for a second. Actually, I might be able to, man, it's a dark background, so let me just switch over. Okay, so we're going to play a little game here, okay? You guys are wearing Sperry's right now. Okay, this is more than half the class, okay? I want you to take off your shoe and tell me where that Sperry was made. China? Dominican Republic? Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam. Sperry's got factories all over the place, don't they? Okay, now, for the sake of argument, just to do this, okay, I'm gonna draw a couple of maps up here, and they're gonna be bad, okay, because I'm very bad at this, okay. But you know what that is. That's really bad. What is that? Yeah. Okay. This is Great Britain. This is the U.S., okay? You wearing Sperry's? Those aren't Sperry's. Did you know that like 80% of the class is wearing Sperry's right now? Uh-huh. Did you know they're made in 5 different countries?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia, China, and Dominican Republic. Okay, now, let's just say for the sake of argument that Sperry's are made in London. Okay? Makes it a little simple. Okay? And this is simple. I'm trying to be simple to explain this to you. Okay? So, Sperry's sell over here. Is that right? Okay. How much did you pay for your Sperry's? Go. Give me some numbers. 90. 70. 85. Anybody get a deal? That's great. Okay. So let's just say, why don't we average this out? Say $80. Okay. And that has gone up, by the way, just like everything else. Okay. Because I had students getting for 50, 65 in the past and stuff like that. Because I've done this more than once. Okay, now, so how would we classify Sperry's? Casual dress shoes? Not super dressy, but casual dress shoes. Yes? Leather, okay? Now, so they're making a lot of money, okay? Now, let's say in Nebraska, there's this shoe company that makes tennis shoes called New Balance in Nebraska. Okay, let's say New Balance is in Nebraska. New Balance wants to get into the casual dress shoe market. And guys, we want our American company, New Balance, which makes tennis shoes and nurses' shoes, just walking shoes and running shoes, stuff like that. They want to get into the casual dress shoe market. Guys, you got to use nice leather. You got to hire American employees to do it. Okay, high quality shoe. But you can't make that shoe in America, pay the labor costs in America, and sell that shoe for any less than $85 a pair. So the government's going to come in and try and protect New Balance and help them get into this market by putting a tariff on Sperry's. So the average Sperry, because they're going to put a tax on it, will now sell for $95 a pair. Now somebody in here said they paid $90. But those of you that paid $80, you're like, I'm not paying $95. So you're going to buy the American shoe instead of the British shoe. Okay? What happens in London at the Sperry factory? If they're are they going to sell fewer shoes here? Yes. So what happens at the factory? The shoe. People lose their jobs. Wages get cut. Yes. Which means the people in London have less money. Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but over here, Silicon Valley, in California, there's a company called Dell. And what do they make? Do they make Chromebooks? Computers, laptops, right? Did you guys know that people in London love Dell computers? Now, Dell's trying to sell more computers in London. But what is going on here? People in London have less money to buy Dell computers, yes? So if they have less money to buy Dell computers, what happens back in California at the Dell factory that makes computers? They slow down. They cut wages. People in America have less money to buy Sperry's or New Balance. So, the United States is notorious, guys. We are a consuming nation. We consume more per capita than any other people in the world. So we talk about the big screen TVs that we buy. And when they break, we don't take them to the TV repairman. We throw them in the landfill and we buy a new one. Right? This is America. We consume. So when America stops consuming the world's products that they sell us, it's going to affect their economy. So right now, guys, we have a trade imbalance with China over $500 billion, which means we buy $500 billion more of Chinese goods than the Chinese buy of American goods. They have 3 times as many people. What's up with that? Chinese need to buy some more American stuff. What do we make that they could buy? Food. They need to buy more American soybeans, more American corn, more American beef, more American pork, and so on and so on. Yes? Or American cars, or American planes, like Boeing. What else? Or cigarettes, Marlboros. I went to college, played college baseball with a guy from Japan. Okay, his name was Kenji Inumato. All right, I was in junior college. I played against this Japanese kid. He had the loudest bat in the world. I mean, when he hit the ball, it was bing, so loud. So we all remembered this Japanese kid. There weren't too many Japanese kids playing junior college baseball in Florida and Alabama. Okay. So when I went to my 4-year school, guess what? That dude was on my team. Okay, Kenji. Kenji loved 2 things about America: Budweiser and Marlboro. And that's what he did, Kenji. Okay, I know. Did you know baseball players used to smoke? Like Babe Ruth, and they used to smoke in the dugout. Like everybody smoked a long time. But anyway. So, whatever we can sell them, let's get rid of this deficit. You know what I mean? Like, benefit each other. Now, the fact is that's not the case right now. Okay, so in the 1920s, as we are consumers, and when we put tariffs on foreign goods, those countries could no longer afford to buy our goods. And then they got mad at us. And then they put tariffs on our goods. They retaliated. And guess what? Our farmers couldn't sell overseas, which really hurt our farmers. It hurt our manufacturers. It hurt everybody. So, do you understand the economic principle? We are different because we are the United States, and we consume more than most countries per capita. Like, you guys understand? Now, you may not as an individual, okay? But, you know, I just replaced my whole floor in my house. We had a nice wood floor in this one room, but my wife didn't like the color of it. We had carpet in the rest of the house. She's like, I want to get rid of the carpet. Okay? Carpet was fine. It was nice. We threw all that crap away. You know what I mean? And spent $40,000 putting in a new wood floor in the whole house. We consumed. You know what I mean? We didn't have to do that, but we were able to do that. You guys with me? So when the United States stops buying your goods, it's a problem. Now, so this is the thing. China owns about $2 trillion of our national debt, a little bit more than that. They could call it in today, and we'd have to print $2 trillion and give it to them. And what would happen to the value of our dollar? It would continue to sink. Okay, so they got us, and if we cut off trade with them, they'd be in big trouble. Because then they wouldn't be, those people wouldn't have jobs, and they'd have social unrest in China if they shut down all their factories from the stuff that we're buying from them. So we got each other. You know what I mean? Like, if we wanted to really hurt each other, we could, without using nuclear weapons, which we both have. You guys follow me on this? Can you explain this to me on the test? Okay, now let's fast forward. Donald Trump's running for president in 2016. He says, I'm going to put tariffs on Chinese goods. Now, having taught this, and we're going to talk more about tariffs because we're going to keep doing this. And as we go through the 20s and even in the 30s, we're going to do more and more tariffs. Okay? So, having taught this and understood that this helped lead to the Depression, I'm like, whoa, wait a second, President Trump. We'll put tariffs. You sure you want to do this? People are like, no, these are a bad idea. But guys, this is a lot of trade imbalance. When they have 3 times as many people as we do, and we're buying $500 billion plus, it's like $585 billion. Okay? Maybe Trump's right. Maybe we should force them, or the threat of tariffs will force them to buy more American food, more American products. Now, we didn't find out whether that worked or not. You know why? Because of COVID. With COVID, because we had started this. The Chinese were resistant at first. Okay? But Trump, you know, he floats himself as a guy that knows how to make a deal. Okay? His #1 best-selling book in the 1980s was The Art of the Deal. Like, this guy knows how to negotiate. He's a businessman. Okay? And a successful one. Yes, guys, he does a lot of businesses, and some of his businesses have failed. There's no question. 80% of new businesses in this country, 80% within 3 years go under. I am one of those statistics. I ran a small business, and I did not make enough money to stay in business. 80%. So, of course, Trump has some bad, you know, business ventures, okay, that you'll hear about. You pay attention, okay? But he's had a lot of successful ones, too. So the art of the deal here is to get the Chinese to buy more of our stuff, which will help us. The threat of tariffs, and then you got to carry through on that threat and actually do it. So Trump started doing that. And the Chinese had agreed to buy more American food. Now, the 2 years that it took to get that deal done, you know what Trump did? He printed money, and he gave money to our farmers. Because in the meantime, our farmers were taking a hit. Okay? Now, I have issues with that, but I understand what he was doing. Okay? So, if elected again, you might see this. Okay? And so, it's better, the more knowledge you have and background on this, the better it is. Okay? So, you can decide whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Free trade, guys. Let me tell you the impact of free trade. In the 90s, Bill Clinton, with the help of Republicans, so this is both parties, signed into law the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. Okay? which said we will have free trade throughout North America, which includes Mexico. So Mexico, U.S., and Canada, free trade. Okay, so if you are a business in Mexico, you can bring your 18-wheeler into the United States, bringing goods, free trade, no tariffs, okay? What this allowed for was Ford Motor Company, General Motors Company, Chrysler Company. They said, okay, we're in Detroit. Now, we talked about unions in here, right? What do unions want? Better pay, better benefits, better working conditions for their workers. Yes? Guys, and then I dropped this on you. I said, some people think that the unions did too good of a job because the average worker on the assembly line in Detroit in the 1990s was making $48 an hour. Now, do you have to have a college degree to do that job? Can they train most people to do that job? Yes. Okay. Skilled labor? Sure. But you can teach that skill. You don't even have to go to trade school. Okay. So, $48 an hour. So when Ford, General Motors, builds a car, they're paying their employees $48 an hour. It gets really expensive to make cars. Plus providing health insurance for them, 401ks for them, and paying, remember payroll, well, we haven't talked about payroll taxes in here yet. Payroll taxes for all your employees. So, NAFTA comes along and says we have free trade. That opens the door for Ford to build an auto manufacturing plant in Mexico. And are they going to pay their employees in Mexico $48 an hour? No. How much are they going to pay? I mean, if you paid them $10 an hour, would people do that job in Mexico? Absolutely. You're saving so much money, which means you're making so much more money. Point to make? So that happened. Detroit, as a city, went bankrupt. Those jobs all left. Okay? That is a direct repercussion of free trade. Now, the cars that you and I buy got cheaper, easier to buy because they're made in Mexico, or at least partially made in Mexico. So as a nation, guys, let me just point this out to you. This is a big issue. So free trade versus protectionism. What would you rather have? Good paying American manufacturing jobs. Let's make these in America. Okay? All the supply chains, all the things you need to build this thing. Okay? This is a $1,000 phone. Well, mine's an SE, so it's probably an $800 phone. I don't know. I'm on the payment plan. It's like $800. Yeah? How much you pay? How much is an iPhone? About $1,000. Yeah. How much would it cost if you made it in the United States? $2,500, $2,000, something like that. Because you got to pay them. You got to pay people. Okay. Now you're going to pay them pretty good. They're not going to make minimum wage. You're going to make more than that. Hopefully, you know, like our auto manufacturers, people work in manufacturing, they make, you know, decent money. Okay. So those people have good jobs. They can raise a family. Okay. And live in the United States happily and chase their American dream. And hopefully afford one of these. Like Henry Ford said, I'm going to make cars where my employees can buy them. They can afford them. Okay. So, would you rather have that? Be able to go to Sam's, Costco, Walmart, and and buy cheap crap made overseas at a lot cheaper price? Which do you want? You want to be able to throw that TV in the landfill, buy another one for $400. You want to pay more for that. And if you pay a lot more for it, you're going to hire the TV repairman to fix it, which means he has a job. He has a livelihood. Because TV repair shops, well, there's not many of them around anymore. There used to be. Like, people made a living fixing TVs. What do you want? So, I think all of us would agree that we would like to have more jobs here. There once was a country called Spain. The Spanish sent out explorers all over the world. Yeah? And some of them landed in Central America and stumbled across this group of natives called the Incas. And the Incas had lots of what? Gold. And what did the Spanish do? They took that gold and they took it back to Spain. And the neighbors of Spain were like, wow, the Spanish are rich. We should make Spain a bunch of stuff that they can buy from us. And we can get some of that gold. And then Spain ran out of gold. And Spain is no longer relevant. They used to be a powerful country. They had colonies all over the place. Not anymore. They ran out of gold. If you don't make anything or manufacture anything in your country, because most of the jobs that you guys will have, almost guaranteed, almost all the jobs that you guys will have will be service jobs, just like me. I'm providing a service. I don't make anything. I don't produce anything except hopefully bright minds, educated children. Will you follow me on this? If we fail to, like U.S. Steel, guys, like China, there's a company called Nippon Steel that wants to buy U.S. Steel for $15 billion. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but President Biden is going to block that. Say, you can't have U.S. Steel owned by a Japanese company. I kind of agree with that. Like, that rubs me the wrong way. Nothing wrong with the Japanese people. I'm not saying that. And they're our friends. Okay, but that rubs me the wrong way. The U.S. Steel used to be the backbone of American industry. It's a shell of its former self. We import all that steel. Make very little of it here. Part of that's the environmental movement. What if it's free trade? So, this is going to lead to depression. Help lead to it. It's not the only cause. But guys, we're going to have a hard time selling our goods overseas once we start putting these tariffs on. And it's really going to hurt us. Okay? So you got to be careful with tariffs. I'm not saying there's not value in them. Okay? But there it is. Good talk? Okay. All right. So, getting better at this. Okay. So the Europeans will retaliate with tariffs of their own. Okay. So back, big picture here. Talking about Harding, Republican, want to do 4 things. Tariffs, second thing is taxes. Okay. So Andrew Mellon is the Secretary of what? That's fall, Albert Fall. So think national forest, think trees, think leaves, fall. That's a mnemonic device. Mellon, 2 L's. Wait, you working or you're not? Whoa. Thought we had this fixed. Yeah. Huh? Will this work? I'm not drawing with my mouse. Okay. Mellon with 2 L's. Treasury. Mnemonic device. I'm big on those. You guys like mnemonic devices? Okay. So Mellon pushes for repeal of wartime taxes. Guys, during the war in 1918, if you made $100,000, this says 65%, but during the war it was actually closer to 94%. In 1944, in the middle of World War II, you made $200,000, your tax rate was 94%. Went to the government. Okay. So he wanted to go from 65 to 50. Actually, that's what they did. Mellon wanted it to go to 25%. The rich would pay 25%. By 1924, they would lower the top tax bracket to 25%. Okay. Congress had a excess profits tax on industry. So those were making tanks, those were making helmets and guns and ammunition. They were making a lot of money, so they had an excess profits tax. Does that make sense? So they want to get rid of that. Now, Mellon didn't really want to cut taxes for lower income and middle class, but are there more lower and middle income people than rich people? And Congress wants to get reelected, so they're going to cut taxes for everybody. You understand? Mellon didn't see it necessary, but Congress has to pass these things. Okay? So, taxes are dropping when hard income becomes present. Okay? Which means people are going to keep more of their own money. Yes? What are they going to do with that extra money? They're going to buy all these new inventions, guys, because the 20s are here, baby, and this is the roaring 20s. This is big time. We can buy all kinds of new inventions. Top of the list, you got to have a radio, because that's the newest, biggest thing, guys. The radio. The conveniences of living. You want a washing machine. You want a vacuum. You want a toaster. Oh, these refrigerators. This is freaking awesome. Okay? So, we're building them and we're buying them by the millions. The economy is going to go gangbusters. Unemployment's going to drop. Okay? Yeah. It's an economic blowout. Kind of like the 1980s when Reagan became president. And he cut taxes. The economy went crazy. Okay? All right, so taxes. Now, remember this. The top tax bracket was 25% in 1924. So, when's the depression? When's the stock market crash? What year? 1929. So that's coming down the road. So one of the things you can do, guys, when the economy slows down is give it a little kick in the butt by cutting taxes. Okay, you can spur economic activity by cutting taxes. Guys, taxes are low. So this is not really going to be an option when the depression hits because they're already low. That makes sense. Okay. The government's only got so many tools to try and, create economic growth. The tax cuts is one of them. Oh. Okay, help for veterans. So I gave you some numbers when I reviewed World War I. Okay, the Army grew to 3.5 million. from about 100,000. $2 million went overseas. So combat for about 120 days. Okay. I'm amazing. I'm sorry, Cindy. I have to erase this. Or I can let you write them down and use the whiteboard. Okay. We're going to be doing some math here. So somebody's got a calculator. Now, let me explain a couple things to you. This is known as the bonus bill for veterans. Proper name. Okay, so the Affordable Care Act is also known as what? Obamacare. Okay, so bonus bill is like Obamacare. The real name is the Adjusted Compensation Act. We're going to be talking about this quite a bit. Okay, so bonus bill is the same thing as the Adjusted Compensation Act. What's another name for the Adjusted Compensation Act? The bonus bill. Good. Okay. All right. So this is an insurance policy. It's not a direct payout to the veterans. It's an insurance policy. It's like, I don't know how much you guys know about life insurance, but it's like an annuity. Okay. It matures later on. Okay. You can get it later on, but you can't get it now. Okay. Like life insurance. Now, this annuity, this insurance policy does not mature till 1945. So you can't get this money. Now, you can borrow up to 25% of it. And a lot of veterans will. Okay. Now, how much is in your annuity or insurance policy is determined by how long you served in the military and how long you served overseas or at home. Okay. So, I think I got room up here. Okay, so say you served 365 days overseas. Okay, so $1.25 times 365. $456.25. And then you served a year domestically at home. Okay? Add this together at $821.25. Okay? So you can borrow 25% of that. You're a veteran, World War I. Okay? That's going to be about $205. In 1919, 1920, 1921, well, $205 gets you into an apartment and a new set of clothes to go out and look for a job. Absolutely. Okay. So this is what a lot of veterans did. They didn't have a job coming out of the war. Okay. This would get them set up. Okay. The rest of the money you can get in 1945. Okay. Here's the deal. The reason why we're going to be talking about this again is because when the Depression hits, these veterans are going to want the rest of their money. They're not going to want to wait till 19. And this is going to become a big deal. Okay. And will help bring down the Hoover presidency. Okay. So I'm foreshadowing a little bit. Okay. Everybody with me? Now, this was vetoed by Harding and Coolidge. Congress overrode that veto with the 2/3 majority in both houses. Coolidge and Harding are conservative with the money. They don't want to spend a lot of money. Okay? They're true Republicans. Okay? Not Republicans in name only, which is what we call a rhino. Rhino is a Republican, like Mrs. Fox. She says she's a Republican, but no, I'm kidding. Okay? Republican in name only is a rhino. It's just, okay. Good? All right, so this will become law. What's next? Big problem. You got 20? 15? Okay. Add this to your learning intention. You will need to be able to describe this on the test form. War debts. This is the second cause of the Great Depression that I'm going to give you. So tariffs and war debts. Okay. Remember, the United States did not get in this thing until 1970. Doesn't mean we weren't participating like we're participating right now in Ukraine with a lot of money and a lot of weapons. So we were helping our allies in 1915, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8, all the way. We're helping the allies. The Lusitania, which was a cruise ship with civilians on it, was sunk by the Germans because the Germans knew that we had supplies for the British inside the ship. It's 1915. So, I did a nice little infographic for you guys on this. And you can draw this on the test if you want. Okay? You just got to label it. You know what I mean? You can't just draw three things and not. I don't know what that means. Okay. So during the war, the Allies borrowed the equivalent of $9 billion from the United States. Now, a lot of that, like with Ukraine, the weapons that we're sending them are built in the United States. You understand? So we build them and then we give them to them. Okay? The Allies received money from huge reparations from the Treaty of Versailles. So reparation means to repair. Okay? Have you guys heard of reparations for slavery? That's been discussed in California. Okay? Most recently, it was shot down by the California legislature last week. Okay? This is another question that you could ask Kamala Harris in a debate. Is, do you still support reparations for slavery? Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Is California even a state when we had slavery? Did they have slavery in California? Okay, so why would it be California doing reparations? I mean, I imagine there's some descendants of slaves in California. Okay, but it's an interesting concept that she said she supported. Does she still support that? Okay, so Germany, guys, is made to pay. We blame Germany to the tune of $33 billion in reparations that Germany owes to these allies, not to the United States. We did not sign the Treaty of Versailles. Germany doesn't owe us anything. But they owe Britain and France especially. $33 billion. That's a lot of money, guys, in the 1920s. In fact, it's an absurd amount of money. Does Germany have $33 billion laying around? They just went through 4 years of hell in a war where they lost 2 million men of working age, 18 to 25-year-old men that never return home, never go to work, never start a business. Germany's in trouble. And that's the way France wants it. Because they want to make it so that Germany can never invade them again. Now, some people would call that vitriolic. Okay? Where's Germany going to get this money? Well, they can print it like we do in this country, and what happens to the value of your dollar or the German mark? This is called what? Inflation, or in Germany's case, hyperinflation. But, you know, we're a forgiving people in America. and we're going to try and help the Germans out. We're going to give them some loans to help get back on their feet. But instead of getting back on their feet, they're going to take the money that we give them, and they're going to turn around and give it to our allies, who owe us $9 billion. So the allies are going to take the money that we gave Germany and give it back to us. And nobody's getting paid. And let me tell you this story. It's about 2010. Pull up the news on the computer, and I see this article. Germany makes its last installment on its war debts to Britain in 2010. It took them 90 years to pay off this $33 billion. That's crazy. Okay? So this merry-go-round of debts, and the Europeans are mad at us because we're making them pay it back. They borrowed the money, didn't they? Pay it back. So they're going to blame their problems on us, okay? And nobody's getting paid except for Finland. They paid us back, okay? Eventually, these loans will go be forgiven when the Depression hits. We're just like, all right, screw it. You don't have to pay us back, okay? I can go back over that before the test if you need me to. It's a pretty good infograph here, okay? If I do say so myself. Good. And this is all on camera. Good? All right, we're learning. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll see you then.